All right. Hello, everybody. We are here at Steel Buffalo Motors. This is our dreamscape, our backdrop for Sunday programs. It is, of course, a beautiful bike shop where they service anything from Vespas to Triumphs, from any kind of e-bike even to Harley Davidsons, but they specialize in Indian motorcycles. Come into the frame, man. It's okay. Um, which, I always like to say that SBM, Steel Buffalo Motors, is to Indian bikes what AMG is to Mercedes Benz. So we're happy to be here. And I'm once again here with my good friend, James Chalk. And we're just going to talk about cigars, actually, our journey.
We're going to talk about
cigars.
life, right? Hi, everybody. Welcome to Steel Buffalo Motors and our Sunday afternoon smoking our cigars.
We are actually smoking the newspaper
Edition.
brand, right? Newspaper edition.
The
Good
limited,
news.
the limited newspaper edition, which is actually quite a smooth cigar. I hope you all went to church today. I did. Now I'm here to enjoy a cigar.
James, I always wanted to ask you about your journey with cigars. What brought you into the world of cigars, and what did cigars bring into your world? I mean, that's very general, of course, but when did you start smoking? What was the occasion?
Funny story is that coming from England, when I was very young, I actually had these role models of James Bond and characters like that who were sophisticated, and not that he smoked cigars, but a lot of people around me who had sophistication smoked cigars.
James.
Us.
How you doing?
Good.
Carlos.
Anyway, excuse me. But,
No worries.
So when I was old enough, I left school. Actually, joined the Special Forces. I joined the Royal Navy and then the Special Forces in Britain, which enabled me to do a lot of traveling to a lot of countries. And I just wanted to get that feel of sophistication and be my own James Bond. And that's when I actually started smoking cigars. I first started out with the Panatellas because I just liked the feel of them, and they were easy to handle. And I've basically been smoking since I was about 20.
So for those of our listeners who don't know, can you tell them what a panatella is?
A Panatella is the slim long cigar that is it's just a slim long cigar that's I felt very sophisticated at the time. So it's a good starter cigar actually. And as you know, cigar smoking, the enjoyment of smoking cigars is the actual process of it, the actual cigar that you get to like, um, how you cut it, whether you like a V cut or a straight cut or a punch cut, whether you like to stay to the traditional way of lighting the cigar with a match or light a piece of cedar with a match and then light it. So there's several. It is the process that is part of the enjoyment of a cigar.
So you basically came in for the aesthetics in a way, but then started quickly to delve into these nuances about what you call the
Absolutely,
process.
absolutely. It was all about aesthetics and appearance, and came to enjoy it. And then of course I had to take it to the level of actually enjoying it with the cognac and whatever else looked sophisticated, till I did too much of that and took that part to an extreme, and went from there.
So now that you mentioned that you were also imbibing some alcoholic drinks, I want to talk about a little bit what kind of environments, what kind of places, what kind of clubs did cigar smoking bring you into? What kind of people did it put you in contact with?
Oh, it's with with that it basically, especially coming from England and uh, traveling all over the world, which I did in the forces, and being very much into women. I my places were always what were in my mind sophisticated, mostly hotels and high class restaurants, etc., etc. It's because to me, I got to the point where cigars are like wines. Like a person likes to select a wine, they acquire a taste for certain cigars and what type of cigars they like. Um, and it went from there. I mean, and it actually um, brought me to a much nicer. I ended up growing up in a much nicer environment that way, and by spoiling myself.
So it was a taste of luxury for you in a way, and you like the fact that you could develop this kind of sophistication with enjoying different kinds of cigars, pairing them with your favorite drinks.
Yeah, I think it all. Once you get to that point, I think it all goes hand in hand. Um, and once you actually acquire that taste, you then do what's necessary to go with that. The best cafes in Paris and Rome and London, um, which enabled me a nice life.
What kind of people did smoking cigars put you in contact with? Did you find that glamour that you were visualizing, you were imagining that comes with cigar smoking?
For sure. I mean, cigar smoking and cigar smokers, I think they have uh, a different vibe about them. There's something about cigar smokers that all seem to have a common link, regardless of what they do, or they all seem to cherish that same feeling of sophistication. And so I think it has stood me in good stead and given me a quality of life.
To me at least, cigar smoking is of course it's about cigars. Of course it's about that journey of finding and developing your own taste. But like you implied, there's that relational dimension to it, right? That it brings you together with certain kinds of people who know how to take pleasure in life,
Yeah, I think that
who know how
camar-
to set some time aside,
that
of their day.
camaraderie that brings, especially when you frequent the same in these days, you in order to enjoy a cigar, you have to go to cigar lounges because it's not as easy to smoke cigars the way it used to be when I started out. And
Although we do like kind of the flavor of rebellion when we do it in inappropriate
yeah,
places
I mean
where
there
it's not
is that
allowed, right?
side, but you have to develop that rebellion. When you see people who unnecessarily show disdain to someone with a cigar in their hand, and you're always going to get those people who've never experienced it, or just because it's a cigar, even though they might be going home and putting cocaine up their nose and smoking pot like an idiot, and then they, um, put their hand in front of their nose when they see a cigar. That's when it's still in the wrapper. So you have to take that as humorous, but they don't understand what we get out of it, and the difference between a cigarette or a cigar and a cigar smoker. And the beauty of it is the um, camaraderie that comes with it, especially now, that we do have to subject ourselves just to finding our cigar lounge. I mean, going back and forth to London, it's a little bit different because there are far more uh, locations where they're a little less strict on where you can smoke a cigar.
To me, I think the fact that we have to frequent cigar lounges, might be a curse in a certain way, but it's also a blessing because, like you said, to kind of compare it to smoking cigarettes, there's always an aspect to it, especially in a country like the US where everyone frowns upon smoking as such. It's always something that you have to sneak, something that's very furtive. Whereas with smoking cigars, you have to be much more intentional and you have to get into a certain mindset, put yourself into a space, headspace and physical space, where you are basically committing yourself to spend some time with a certain group of people because like you said, there's always band of regulars in every cigar lounge. So in a way, yes, the current conditions kind of channel us all into a cigar lounge, but something that comes with it as a blessing is that it puts you in touch with a certain group of people who know how to take pleasure in life, who also have the luxury to set aside at least half an hour, 45 minutes of their day and just enjoy good company, good conversation. And there's something magical about that. It's mysterious, perhaps. It's hard to put a finger on.
Well, that is part of the process. I mean, that's when I say process. It's part of that process is enjoying it and who you're actually enjoying it with. Whether you're just an observer in a lounge and just sit quiet and listen, or whether you partake in uh, conversation. That's all part of it. But then again, it boils down to a certain type of people, a certain group that know how to appreciate life, that actually frequent cigar lounges. And I think it's great that we have that luxury. and it is a luxury. And for your viewers, Nazareth Fine Cigars in Beverly Hills is where we go and where we all get together. And it would be great to see any of your viewers uh, coming to Nazareth, which is at 350 North Cannon Drive, Beverly Hills.
Yes, Nazareth's Fine Cigars is our usual joint. Should I give the recorded speech? It's
Uh,
been there since 1985.
It has. It was actually, from what Nazareth actually tells me, is that it was the first cigar lounge in the United States.
Yeah, it's the first proper one, and the reason for that is again precisely because it was a different time, right? At that time, some people even considered it odd, maybe even looked down upon the idea of having a specific club where you have to go to smoke your cigar because you could smoke it everywhere. But of course, we know how things developed, and California was in so many ways actually on the crest of that wave of banning smoking, installing all these kinds of hurdles and obstacles in front of smokers in terms of taxation, in terms of banning it outright in certain districts and jurisdictions. So it turned out to be actually almost a revolutionary idea at the time to set up shop in
Oh, for
1985 in
sure. But
Beverly
also,
Hills.
you have to remember that being Beverly Hills, that he also had the luxury of all the film stars
Of course.
coming to see him at that time when Milton Berle and Steve McQueen and Charles Bronson and you know all those big stars would come in and he would actually have to get cigars delivered to their homes as well.
Yeah,
So
and of course, Mr. Nazareth had the benefit of being the manager at Dunhill's before he set
exactly.
off on his own
And
path.
now of course she's got the luxury of getting Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone and Ralph and a host of other celebrities that come in on a daily basis.
Right. And I mean, a lot of these people are his long-standing customers. That stretches back not only all the way back to 1985, but even to his Dunhill days, where he was serving them on those premises. So it's for him too. It's a lifelong journey where he cultivated all these personal relationships with people who come from different walks of life, who may have not crossed paths with him either. And like you said, cigar smoking and cigar lounges, especially if they are not necessarily private clubs, have that tendency of bringing together people from different walks of life who might not otherwise cross paths with each other.
Exactly. We see that every day, especially being in Beverly Hills. And it's really funny talking about. I mean, I'm an actor, and fortunately, I get to make quite a few movies, and uh, you can actually put my IMDb link on there if you want. Uh, but I've come to that point where I actually use a cigar in my character.
We're live still. I'm just putting your IMDb link.
And it's funny how the directors and the producers have liked my introduction into my character in the different movies, where they've asked me to keep the cigar in the movie, and they've made a scene out of me either smoking them or putting them out or whatever it is, and using the cigar with my character.
I mean, I was just watching. Well, you let me watch this recent audition tape that you did, and even there, to set up the dynamics and pacing of the scene, you're using a cigar and very effectively, if I might
Thank you.
say that.
Thank
And of course, one of the biggest compliments I've gotten in the acting class was where our teacher Sal Landy told me, when you were abroad filming, we were doing a scene, and there was some mention of cigarettes, so I had a cigar, in my pocket, so I used that as a prop. And he told me after the scene, now you're part of James Chalk School of Acting. So that was the best praise I've ever gotten so far.
Thanks. Yeah, no, I mean, it's uh, how you portray your character, part of portraying a certain character. Of course, there's certain characters you play that you can't do it with. But when I can get away with it, I do it. But it's something that I love doing when I am on a set. Um, it just a beautiful way for me to spend my time waiting and smoking a cigar.
I've been posting some links. Hi, Ben.
Hello.
How are you doing?
How are we doing?
Great. Great.
And don't forget, if you want a cigar, you should come to Steel Buffalo Motors because we have a fantastic walk-in humidor here, and you get greeted by Mr. Ben Maccabee, the owner of Steel Buffalo Motors, who will
Greeted or graded, you said?
greet it and grade it.
Yeah,
And
all right.
here we
he's
have Mr. Ben Maccabee himself, who has been my dearest friend for a long
Come a
time.
little here, so we get you in the
And
frame.
he and I have enjoyed the pleasure of smoking our cigars together most days and being able to confide in each other with our miseries and our happiness and whatever it is.
Maybe push it.
It's good.
It's good. Do you actually see me?
Yeah, we do. And maybe we can even hear you if you want to put it. If you want to put it in your somewhere.
Us?
So this is Ben Maccabee in the process of putting his speaker on. And I really, really would love it if you guys would come and visit his art gallery of motorcycles. And you can actually get a lot of history about some of the bikes that he's got here, including the Terminator bikes that Arnold Schwarzenegger actually rode in the movie, and some of the Steve McQueen memorabilia. And I love the guy.
Love you too, James.
Box Report is here, and so was Hideaki. And Ali Reza, who is a member of the channel, just shared with us driving and playing over Android Auto. Have a good show, fellas. By the way, Ben is doing this because he has actually my whole routine down. I'll record it at some point. He has a great.
What's up,
impression
brother?
of me.
You're back.
It's Ben, right?
Yes, sir. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I wanted to set up a test drive.
I need to get the
Another bike enthusiast
Carburetor
just walked
recon.
in, and
Okay.
I can do it tomorrow.
so Ben's off to sell another motorcycle and a few more cigars, and left me to speak, as I was hoping that he would be able to speak to you.
Why, you're already bored of me, James?
No, I just wanted to tell you that to support my friend Ellie here, because he does put a lot of work into his so-called podcasts, and with his watches and his knowledge of his watches are just unbelievable to me. It just
Speaking of which, can I embarrass you for a minute about your
I
watch?
don't get embarrassed, but
Good. Then I will embarrass myself. James has a very nice watch on today. So this is a Soviet watch. You guys know Vostok. Most people know Vostok for their Amphibia series, the diver watches. This is what they call Komandirsky. Um, Sorry for my Russian, it's non-existent, so I'm just trying my best. But it's a beautifully designed field watch with a red star at 12 o'clock, with a tank right under it. Um, and I thought, thinking of James's own background, and of course his image as a real life James Bond, I thought it would be a great idea to match it with a regimental style nylon strap, um, NATO, and it it just fit perfectly. I mean, that's my opinion, but I could see it also in James's face as well. I think he. Do you like it? Do you like that style I came up with?
I yeah, listen, this is my favorite watch. And
It's I mean, that makes me feel really, really great, because I see it on your wrist almost every day.
it's my
It
go-to
makes me really
watch, as
happy.
they say.
Yeah.
It actually goes with anything, and I really thank you for putting the band on it, which actually goes with everything. And it's the reason it's masculine, it's unusual. I like the tank on the
That's right.
face. But I mean, I personally don't know that much about watches anyway. For me, it's just an aesthetic thing, and
But that's maybe that's also a parallel with cigars. With the world of cigars and the world of watches, because within that small mechanism, there are so many layers that you can appreciate almost independently from each other, but when it comes together, it makes even more sense. It brings even more joy and pleasure. Like you said, it might be just because, I like how this watch looks, and it fits my style. You can, on the other hand, obsess about its history, and it does have a genuine military history. uh, there's a personal history to it, which, if you want, you can share, but it's something that you acquired on a specific trip. Someone gifted it to you, if I remember correctly. uh,
it
so
was I
all
make
these things come together, and it makes it even more enjoyable. But even one of these aspects of the watch is already more than enough to bring something different into your life.
yeah. I mean, listen, I think most people have certain attachments to watches. And there's always a story, I think, from what I gather with most people with certain watches. I mean, like this one is special to me because I went and I did um, a commercial for World of Tanks in Belarus and in Russia. And I actually got to ride the World War II tanks with the Russians, and they were
In
real
Belarus, right?
in Belarus, and they were really really nice, and they gifted me with this watch, so it does have a sentimental value.
And it's etched on the face of the watch too, because there's a tank on the dial.
There exactly, and so when it's given in a certain way, you have much more appreciation for it. Plus the fact, it's all those things of how I got it, the actual appearance of it, and that it's got history. The history of this actual watch, I wish I knew of who the soldier was that wore it. I mean,
Of course.
I don't know that, but I wish I knew. So
I don't think those archives are going to open to us anytime soon.
I don't think I'm going to be finding that out anytime soon.
But that's the thing.
but
I'll send it to you.
I do know it has history.
Huh?
I did give it a shot. As you remember,
I'll do it.
I've done some research
Okay.
online to see if
We'll do it.
the
I'll
number
call you if I need you
engraved
next
on the
week.
case back can at
Right.
least relate us to something.
Yeah,
but
I'll
of
take
course,
care of it.
at least with the languages I know online, there wasn't much of anything to find. But I want to pass the mic back to Ben because he's
But can you actually hear you talking?
a little bit, but it's better. You are the main characters in this. Oh, okay. I take over with Ben then. Ben, we're gonna get back to cigars, but I'm seeing that you are wearing once again one of your favorite watches, but this
Yeah.
time a different version of your favorite shape. Could you show it on your wrist a little bit? Great. That's
This one
Please.
is the limited edition Lamont Tagoer, and also a Steve McQueen model. I think they made this is number 1037.
I think it says on the back. Can we take a look?
Yes.
I mean, we don't have to say your number, but
no, it's
how
say my
many-
number. I don't care.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's right there. It's
Yeah.
on.
So this is one of 4,000. This is one of the editions that they did of the Hoya Monaco with the special Gulf International livery, just like
Yeah.
Steve McQueen's and Ben Maccabee's racing jacket.
And there's only 720 units in the United States. Everything else went all over the world. So I remember when buying this one, I was debating between buying the blue face Monaco,
The original, so
the
to speak.
original, but that one was a limited edition. And I said, you know what? When is it going to come back? So I ended up buying this one, and I was like, oh, I'll get the other one down the road. And like I said, my wife bought it for me, so it was great.
Yeah, that's a fantastic story actually, and you're a very fortunate person, if I may say that, because these things that are so dear to you keep coming back to you.
Yeah.
Your truck that just came back, the story with this, where you got this limited edition with the Gulf livery on the back of your mind, you still wanted that
Yeah.
original blue dial.
And it was a hard
Monaco.
decision. You're right. It was a hard decision. I was like, shit. I came for the blue one, and I ended up taking the white one.
And then your wife was nice enough to follow up
Yeah.
on it, and it was your 50th birthday gift.
Yeah.
And what could be more
It's
appropriate?
the greatest gift, man. But that's the way I do things. You give, you get it back, no doubt. No, and back to our friend here, James, praising my name and saying beautiful things about me, and it's vice versa. James and I, when we became best of friends overnight, we've been always friends. And I was about to go to Arizona, and we
Okay,
were
that story is coming out of the pocket. All right, let's talk about it.
because I gotta talk about James. He talked about me, just to mind you, he can't stand me, but he loves me. That's yeah. How are you doing? Are we on?
Mhm.
Yeah. How you doing?
Yeah, how you doing?
So yeah, I about to head to Arizona. You know, our trip to Reno. Back then, I was doing the route to Arizona often, at least 4 times a month, building my inventory and everything. James was a bit down and out. I was a bit down and out.
So
I said,
you went to Arizona to pick up a bike,
to
just
pick up
like
a
your
bike, yeah.
recent trip to.
Reno, and 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 James, what are you doing, man? He's like, I don't know, man. So you want to go to Arizona? I said, yeah, why not? So I said, be at my house at 4 a.m. in the morning. Believe it or not, he was there at 4 a.m. in the morning. And we hit the road to Arizona.
What did you listen to on the way to?
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say now. Now, mind you, before that, we were friends. Like, talking, calling, going to acting class. But we weren't that close. He was with his shit, I was with my shit. So James decided to go to Arizona with me.
And had to make sure that we had enough cigars to travel
That's
because that was part of the trip.
It's fucking amazing, man. Good. So we hit the road to Arizona.
Listening to Elvis nonstop.
I had Elvis coming out of my ears that day. Because mind you, I'm heading to Arizona and I'm coming back at the same day. So you're talking about an 18-hour trip. Because I go pick up the bike and I go back.
So that was the soundtrack to the Arizona trip.
Soundtrack to Arizona.
And back.
And back. At one point, I got so tired, so James took over and he drove. So let's fast forward. We get to Arizona, and the guy's there. Nice guy. Waiting with the bike, as described. I'm like, okay, let's load it. I give him the money. We load the bike, and I'll say, "Thank you, money." And I tell him, "Where's the title?"
Mhm.
Oh well, that's a different story. See, I borrowed money, and this guy
No.
has my title.
You can.
So
you can
I
say
have
hi
to
if you want.
go. So I have to go and pay him. And so now we're looking at each other. Okay, no problem. So we hop on the truck, and we get to a house. Huge Confederate flag hanging on the house, and we're like, "Oh boy!" As we walk in, there's this lady sitting on the couch, on a bench, and she's looking at us like that. James and I were looking at each other like, "Okay."
That sounds like the drug transaction scene in Scarface to me.
Dead on. But look what happened with
Like
that.
Marta.
Martha all the way. But now we're not saying a word to each other. We're just looking. That day, James not only became a best friend, he became a brother. We walk through the hallway, and then it opens up into a kitchen. There's this white dude, big white dude sitting there. That boy goes very apologetic to him, the guy that I bought the bike from. What does James do? Like he read my fucking mind. He goes to the corner of the kitchen against the wall and just standing there. Like he read my mind. I never said a word. It's like he understood his part of the transaction.
Yeah, I
If
mean,
something going south, he's going in.
and of course, James has the training and the physique for it too. That he's an imposing guy at 6'4".
Imposing and-
what is it?
Imposing and, mind you, a bit crazy. Because I've seen him being crazy, which is very rare. Because most
In a
of the
good
time
way.
he's in a coma. He's just sitting like that and just look at you, says nothing. But he walks to the corner of the kitchen And he just stands and he looks. The white dude gets up, counting the money. Okay, we're good. Gives him the title. No, thank you. No, nothing. We walk out. James gives that Martha woman a look, and he keeps walking out. As we're driving back home, again, that was the thing that we have a telepathy or something.
Yeah, you didn't even
He
have
would
to talk.
think about something, and I would say it, or vice versa. That's
Well,
something
it's
that we
usually
have.
he thinks about something and you say it because
And I
you don't
say-
know how to keep your mouth shut.
So we both driving the truck, looking at each other, say hello to Marta, and we were laughing so hard. We're laughing at it now, but it was fucking scary moment, right? I mean, what the size of the flag, the Confederate flag? It's, some people are okay with it, some people are not.
Well, I mean, there's so many ways that could have gone wrong, right?
For me to do what I did, my instinct takes over almost all the time, and I have a very keen nose for that type of atmosphere, and for me to do that, I just instantly got the vibe as soon as I walked in that front door. So I knew, I had to be cautious at that point and see what was actually going down.
I mean, that's the interesting thing. You are very pensive and thoughtful in general, but I feel like you said, maybe your instinct took over, maybe your training and preparation.
Well,
took
it's
over
all
in
of
certain
that. I mean, I've always been a person that when he says that I'm always in a coma, it's what it is that I'm
is.
always observing.
He is in a coma most of the time.
And
But something about him, when you think that he doesn't care, it's not that he doesn't care, it's not important. In his book, I always say about James, he's not a gossiper. He will never tell you, oh, do you see this? Do you see that? And I remember saying to my better half, I told her, you know what? There's a lot to learn from him because he is not a blobbermouth,
Right. He doesn't waste words.
No, I'm telling you, all the way we're driving to Arizona was the best trip ever.
it was.
I mean, it was such a
definitely
cleansing for both of us. And we actually stopped at a reservation, and naturally they thought he was a chief. Right?
fun, right.
I mean, they all like started looking at him, talking to him. It was like, there's a high. He was. That was the best trip
But
ever.
don't
Man.
forget the cigar humidor that we walked into.
So he is saying, there's a cigar place on the border between Arizona and California. And I'm like, really? So yeah, I've heard there's one. Mistakenly, we stopped at a gas station right on the border. Huge sign saying cigars. The humidor, is it the size of the shop?
Yeah, at least.
I've never seen something like that. And right before the border, right? So there's no taxes, there's no bullshit. It's all like, if it's a $5 cigar, it's a $5 cigar. And we bought.
What you see is what you get.
What you see is what you get.
And they must have had every cigar known to man in that humidor. I mean,
Probably no Cubans. Because,
oh, I'm sure there were Cubans. And
Yeah.
cigars too.
Yeah. Yeah. That was, and we got home probably 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning, and he drove home.
So almost a full 24-hour trip
Absolutely.
where so many different things could have happened, but it was this ultimate bonding experience for.
But then I also
You guys.
discovered a couple of things about him that is a little slow in the head, because who can listen to Elvis Presley
Just a little.
19 hours, 18 hours listening to Elvis?
And if there were another.
Elvis came out of every hole in my body that day. And I'm going to sleep, right? And it keeps playing.
That's
We
what I
caught
was
in a
gonna say.
trap. I'm like,
Because even when you're not in the car, probably in that scene you just described in that home, it was probably playing in his head at the very least.
But I have to tell you that through that entire trip, something about Elvis is that we never listened to one song twice.
Right. Right.
So it just shows you how many records he made and how many songs he sang, which I think are 735 uh, from what I gather is, but we didn't listen to one song twice.
True.
You know, so, and as you know, with Elvis, no two songs are the same. So we listened to it, and he had to listen to it because I wouldn't let him change it to anything else.
Nothing.
Yeah, it reminds me that the other night we went to Mel's Burgers. We take the table, we sit down. The first thing that James does is he goes to the ATM because he didn't have any cash at hand. He gets a nice $10 bill, gives it to the cashier, gets all these quarters so we can just feed
Uh-huh.
the jukebox.
Uh-huh.
And I think out of the 10 quarters that we used, 8 were for Elvis records, and there was
Well, I
going
was
to be a
ripped
bust
off
up.
because they didn't play Suspicious Minds.
Yeah, there was going to be a bust up at the end because, like, it skipped like the jukebox skipped like two or three of.
I felt
of the
ripped
tunes.
off.
Yeah. A trip to remember. Yeah. We talked about acting, talked about actors, business. Um, we were hungry and we stopped at a Chinese restaurant and it was a bingo night. A bunch of old people and we're like looking, okay, that's cool.
And we ordered everything on the menu.
We did. It was the trip that made us best of friends.
And how long ago was that? When was that, if you don't mind me asking?
2017.
Mind you, part
2017.
of our friendship, you know, is probably because we both have similar backgrounds. I mean, we come from different countries, but you know, I come from a military family, going into the military, and you know, because in that era, we, including you, we were brought up differently.
Yeah.
We knew what respect was. We knew what taking a beating from our parents was, and there wasn't a case of child abuse because your father
Beat the
smacked
shit
you
out of you.
around. Or you,
Smacked you around?
yeah,
You
beat the
mean
shit
beat
out
the
of you,
shit out of you.
basically. So that was accepted, and you know what?
And we
To-
didn't call the cops on our parents.
And
so-
to this day, I'm grateful that he did it, and you know, and it stood me in good stead for sure. It taught me about discipline. It taught me about respect, and it taught me how to take a beating.
Now we joke about it now, but it was very special times, you know.
And maybe that's why I went into finding my own journey with this so-called sophistication and smoking my cigars and going to the best places and finding the prettiest women, etc.
Well, I mean, I think you don't, James. In your case, I don't think you have to try. I don't think you seek. I feel like there's a tendency that they come to you and they seek you out.
I was blessed that way.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I don't understand that. I mean, they always look at him. Nobody exists around him. And I'm like, I'm gorgeous, but no girl's looking
Yeah.
at me.
You,
The one time a girl looked at me, you know what happened, but it
You
was,
got her pregnant.
no, it turned out to be a man.
was a man. It was a man. I'm not
Okay,
joking.
well, what's this? Now we have a common refrain, that you're the second person in an interview with me at Steel Buffalo Motors admitting something like this.
Oh, fucking Zav. It's true. Zav is something else, man. Listen, I've been sitting in Nazareth for 23 years now. I'm a member there for 23 years. And like I said, I always look at James all the time. Finally, I have this gorgeous girl looking at me. And every time when she walks by, she's like, hi, babe. I'm like, always looking back and see if she's saying hi to James or someone else. No, but she was saying hi to me.
She was.
She was gorgeous black girl. I mean, really, like, really the way I like him, okay? So, not only that, she was brave. One day she stopped. She opened the door. Hi, babe, can I talk
Let
to
me
you?
ask you something. Does
Yeah.
your wife get to see this?
So what? She knows I have nothing to hide. It was a long time ago, way, way long time ago. So, hi, babe, can I talk to you? I say, yeah, sure. And,
Trying to play it cool.
oh, I'm Mr. Cool, King of Cool. I walk out, I'm looking at James. Yeah, okay, here's one for you, bro. As I walk out with her, Big Joey, 7 foot tall guy, he walks by and he looks at me. He's like, I'm like, what's up? I said, nothing. Anyway, it was devastating. That girl was a guy, and all of a sudden she tells me, I like you, but I'm not what you think I am. Then I understood what Joey was doing, and I'm like, I think I get an idea. Okay. And greeted her hello and goodbye and walked away. And Big Joey waiting for me inside Nazareth said, that was a dude, man. You dig? You dig? I'm like, okay. I didn't know. So, yeah, true story.
Well, I mean, fortune smiles on you in different ways. So.
Great person, man.
Of course.
She was, I call him a she. Because if you have tits and you dress like a woman, you're a woman.
Well, whatever she calls herself or whatever
That's
they
what
call
we need to
themselves,
call
that's
her.
it. Yeah.
Exactly. Hey, Kimani, Paige. What about Paige? Paige is a 6'5" man that dressed like a woman, and we love her. She comes here, she helps us out. She's Kimani's best friend. No, no, not out of pocket. I don't discriminate, man. As long you don't do it, don't discriminate. But if you do it, you got a problem, bro. True story, man. I mean,
All
how
right,
tall is
folks.
Paige, man?
You need to take off. But I'll see you. I'll see you later. At,
Where you going?
James needs to take off. Then you wanna take the
Oh,
main seat.
I'm so tired, man.
So can I ask you about your journey with cigars? You have a little bit of time for the audience.
When my boy was born, my late dad brought me a cigar and said, Mazel tov, congratulations.
That's Achilles.
Achilles, when Achilles was born, and then ever since, I smoked cigars.
And how long ago was that?
When I turned 29, 29 years old, that's when Achilles was born.
And Achilles
1995.
is, yeah,
He's 28. I'm going to be 57.
1994, 5, yeah.
Yeah. Time flies, man.
And that's how cigars came into your world. What did smoking cigars, what did cigars bring into your world? Of course, you have this strong association with becoming a father, you know, the birth of your
My
son,
yeah.
your
just,
firstborn. But what else did smoking cigars bring into your world?
Listen, I never did drugs in my life. Not even smoking weed. No alcohol. Cigars happen to calm me down. When I smoke, I have certain habits. When I close shop and I go home, I light my cigar. I feel the gratitude. I feel the thanks,
Mhm.
Like if I'm able to do this at the end of the day, it was a good day.
It's a blessing.
It's a blessing. And through the cigars, I met some nice people. I met all kind of people at the club. Met my best friend, you know.
You guys first met at a cigar lounge?
Yeah,
Okay.
at Nazareth. And then Robert Miano told me to come to class, and James was there. And that's how it started. He's intimidating when you see him. It looks kind of weird. But then
Because
you get used to,
you look
hey, you guys.
because you look so normal.
You want to take it outside, bro?
No, actually, I don't.
Yeah, that's how I met James. Yeah. And
I know I was slapped down already once. I don't want to take it any further. You know, I don't mean no disrespect.
you're one of us, brother. So you smoke cigars and you talk to people and you get to meet a lot of people in different type of businesses and I have a lot of guys that I did some stuff with. That was through the cigar business, the cigar lounge.
But honestly, I mean, I need to say this. You know, James already shared that. Of course, we smoke here a lot, especially on Sundays. We are here at Steel Buffalo Motors, but our usual haunt.
Oh, by the way, he
is-
got upset with me today for giving him a shitty cigar. I said, James, we smoked all the good ones, man. And we have the shitty ones left. And he got upset with me.
the problem is I bought all the good ones, so
Oh,
that's why. That's why I bought the good news. You know, our premium blend. I'm gonna smoke another one. Um, but yeah, I was saying, you know, our usual haunt, Nazareth's Fine Cigars in Beverly Hills. You bring so much good energy and such a great spirit into that place. Again, you know, obviously that place has its own mystique. It has its own air. It's a great place to smoke cigars, but there's something missing when you are. There's something missing when you are not there.
What do you need, James?
Yeah, in about 10 minutes, if that's okay. Okay.
Wow.
All right. I'll let them know. I'll take the table.
All
Thank
right,
you, James.
So
Yeah, I was saying, like, that of course Nazareth is great, but it's not the same without the energy you bring. And like you said, you usually come at the end of the day, preferably at the end of the day, but because often Nazareth closes early, so you kind of break up your day, come there towards
the end of the
near
day, yeah.
closing time. But it's always different and much more enjoyable once
You
you
know what,
come.
Ellie? Because you see me here when I work, I don't mess around. I have so much on my mind and so many things that I have to do. And when I come to NAS, I kind of develop this switch off to just come and have a good time for an hour, hour and a half. And then I go back to the office, you know. So, and I think it's a thing. It's a training, and I hope I can help a lot of people here that are listening and watching a great show. You gotta stay positive. We all love that thing of, and I think it's a habit of maybe listening to a sad music, uh, having sad thoughts, missing older days, missing people that we lost along the way. But in this world, you have to stay positive. You have to stay um, full tank. And whenever you have a sad thought or something like that that you feel like it's dragging you down, snap out of it. Snap out of it and keep moving forward. Because believe it or
Is the
not,
torch around there?
it's all about energy, and whatever you give the universe, you get in return. My late mom used to tell me, whenever you see a homeless guy or someone in need, always help them, because you never know, it might be an angel. That was her way to teach me to be generous and to be a giver. She also used to say, whenever you say, I'm not doing well, this is shit, this is bad, so the angels will walk by you and hear you saying that, and they'll say, so be it. But if you say, oh, I'm doing great, everything's great, things going to be excellent, things going to be amazing, when the angels are walking by you, they'll say, so be it. That was her explaining it to me when I was a little kid. There's a better way to say it, but for her to simplify it to me and tell me, whatever you say, the universe will say, so be it. That's what she meant to say. So it's very rare that you find me saying, ah, it's not good, it's not happening, it's not great. I'm even afraid to say these words, because these words are going to come back at you. That's what the universe is going to give you. It's the law of attraction. Whatever you ask, that's what you get. And if you say to yourself, I'm depressed, I'm no good. I mean, look at the heavenly glory, look at the size, trust in it. Don't be local, be global with your energy.
That's a great lesson.
You know,
Zikrona Livracha.
yeah, my mom was,
You just had a memorial for her,
yeah,
right?
on Thursday, yeah. When I went to boarding school, I was very upset with her, asking why she never stopped me, why she never told me, don't go. But that's a mother's love. Only when she passed away, I understood why she let me go. because she wanted me to stay alive. She wanted me to be successful. She wanted me to
She wanted you to thrive in
flourish
your own
and
way.
thrive. And she saw me dying at home. And when I said I'm going to boarding school, now once she said no, she said, go. And for a mother to tell her son to go and see him once in a while, I don't care what kind of mother she is, she'll miss her child,
Of course.
you know. And she saved my life, I think, by allowing me to go, by not telling me don't go. Because if my son tells me I'm going, it's going to be very hard for me to let him go.
Yeah.
So imagine for her as a mother, when I packed my bags on my own, she never said a word. She said, go. And I was angry all those years. I didn't understand why. Well, doesn't she love me? I don't understand. I'm not her son. Why a mother would let her son go? But only when she passed away I understood that she saved my life.
I mean, I have a similar experience, and I know that it's still a sore spot for her. But when I decided to come to the U.S. to study,
Yeah.
when I got a scholarship for college here, she was always supportive. But I knew that it was against her, almost primal natural instinct. Like you said, why would a mother let her child go away, go so far away, where she only gets to see him, once every so often?
I don't
That's
have that strength. My wife doesn't have that strength. I can tell you right now. We're very, very sensitive. Um, if they sleep over, very rare, never going to happen. I think we're like, oh shit, where are they? You know, if we go out of town, we're like, so that's a strong generation, man. It's a
that's
different generation.
it's a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice, but it's a sacrifice made for a better life for the next generation. It's but yeah, when you say that now, I remember how you felt, when your family was recently on a trip to Israel, and
It's
you know
true.
you
Yeah, I was like,
you were miserable.
I was. You're right. I was like, oh, what the hell? You're right.
And they're coming back, in a matter of
It
weeks.
don't matter. It just I'm very protective. I want him to be next to me, and I guess that has to do with me leaving and being on my own. I told myself I'll do my extreme best that it's not going to happen to my kids. So when I got divorced, I told Achilles' mom, which is a wonderful woman, it didn't work. I said we might get a divorce, but I'm not divorcing my kid. He's going to be in my life every day, and I stuck to it because I didn't want him to be, where's my dad, you know. So I was there. I sacrificed a lot of things for that. I guess maybe my career, I don't know, but Achilles was more important. Making sure that he grows up to be the man that he is, for me, was the most important thing ever, and even here at the shop, Kimani, say hi.
That's our friend
Get
Kimani.
closer, Kimani.
Let me get it. Hey, what's going on, peoples?
I got Kimani, I got Alex, I got Carlos, I got all these boys that I love him as my own sons. You know, um, Kimani can't stand me, but I love him.
I mean, why you think I'm sitting down?
Tell him our story, Kimani. That's a very interesting story.
I mean, in short form, came here for an oil change, really. You know, just randomly. It was on a Sunday. Came in. It was a great vibe. I was like, hey, I need an oil change. He's like, okay, let me see what I can do. Got an oil change. I was walking around the shop and it was just so warm, just so loving. And I was just like, and at the time I was working for I was bartending as well as working for like an electoral college. You know, when you ask people to register to vote, and then I was just like, hey, are you hiring? Do you need help around here? He was like, hmm. He was like, what can you do? I was like, we can find out. We'll definitely find out.
Yeah.
You know. And he's like, come back. He's like, come back tomorrow. Talk to me. Come back. Come back. I think he said either tomorrow or Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Called Tuesday. Came by. He sent me in to. He's like, all right. Well, you just got to get past Joanna. If Joanna gives you a okay, and me thinking like, I'm thinking this is like HR. Some old lady. Maybe like 60 years old or something like that, named Joanna. I walk in the front of the office, go behind the secretary desk, and I'm like, hey, I'm looking for Joanna. Is she here? Oh, that's me. I'm like, okay. Small little petite girl. And I'm like, they told me I got to talk to you to get hired. She was like, what? She's so confused. She was like, I'll be right back. She walked to the back. She's like, oh, they told me I have to ask you some questions. She came back. She asked me a couple questions. She was like, well, I think you're good. She's like, you're more qualified than me. So I was like, okay, for sure. And then from there, it was history. I would say after like a month of working here, I couldn't help but feel like this is like my dad. I couldn't help feeling that bond. This is like my pops, for real. Like, I never went anywhere and felt some type of love like that, as well as like just having my back, just being there too. And just being there sometime when you just need somebody to talk to.
Always. I believe that you need to support the youth and make sure they're going in the right direction and being successful. There's too much evil out there, and youth and children needs to be protected.
Yeah.
And I do my share.
He did kind of get a little bit mad at me. I had a little in-office romance going. He got a little mad at me about that.
Joanne, I guess is an idiot.
Got a little
I
mad at me.
said, she's just going to interview you. You're not going to become her boyfriend.
Hey.
That was love story, actually.
Yeah. It almost was like just a little rough around the edges. I would say on both our parts. I'm a little stubborn, she a little stubborn, but hey, stuff happens. You live, you learn. What is it? You love, live, and learn.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Kimani, if you want to plug something, anything you want to share with the audience, feel free.
Go ahead.
Well, I have the plug. I mean, besides my Instagram, as well as my Instagram is Drip the Kid Key. Currently, whenever I'm not at the shop, I'm doing production work. I'm currently working a runway show right now, which is going to be on October 7th, and that's going to be at the Pacific Design Center for F Row. Yes, right here. And besides that, just as well as just getting my director just qualifications up, that's pretty much it right now. Working runway, filming, things like that, editing. I also do most of the editing for a dojo that I train at, which is White Tiger Kung Fu, and then the West LA Jiu Jitsu. And that's pretty much it. But if y'all want to hear about what's a Still Buffalo story that's hilarious.
Whatever you can share.
Okay.
Whatever you feel comfortable sharing.
Okay. Have you ever told them about the guys, the thugs coming into the shop? You did? That was definitely an interesting day. I mean, if you guys want to hear about let's go a little bit deeper into the office romance. How about that? That's the only thing I could think of. We're not gonna get too deep, but
Okay.
we're just gonna talk about it. I'm gonna share some things of why maybe you shouldn't get an office girlfriend. You know, um, it's definitely nice at first. You know, it goes from being very nice to, depending on who it is. You know, everybody's different. Goes from very nice to, could be a little overbearing. You know, especially when you see each other constantly. You kind of can get a moment of where you feel like elbows is bumping against each other in a narrow hallway. You know. Besides that, it was pretty good. You
So
know.
when did you feel the spark? Almost immediately, or
I mean, it was like when we met, it was kind of like it was like some flirting there. It was already kind of like some tension, you know, like when you look, like we were looking, talking to each other, and there was a moment where she got quiet and I got quiet, and we were just kind of looking at each other. And it got tense, and it kind of was like, oh, what was we talking about? You know, some of those kind of moments. And then later down the line, working there, just office flirting, here and there. Took her for a couple of rides on the back of the motorcycle, you know.
Ben? Do you know where the torch is?
I'm looking for it right now.
I think y'all got robbed for the torch because I checked all back here, did not see it.
No, Kimani, come back. Ben will look for the torch. So you took her out for a couple of rides.
Yeah, we went
on
out
the
for a
bike.
couple of motorcycle rides. Later on, started hanging out consistently, and then randomly, and then when was that like? When did it randomly go from office flirting to? Oh, we had a date. Went on a date. So
Okay. And was that mutually agreed upon, or did you just end up in a date? With this casual flirting
well,
and
we were casually
taking time
flirting
with each other.
and hanging out, like sometimes after work, like just randomly. Um, and then after hanging out for a couple of days, um, we decided to go on a date. So I was like, "Oh, let me take you out somewhere." We went to some rooftop, just hung out, had a drink or so, and then after that, that's when we kind of just started really dating. We kind of were kind of dating before that, even though we were kind of hanging out daily. And then from there, we was kind of just hanging out. We went to an arcade bar another time the next day.
Mhm. Which one is that? if you don't mind me asking?
82 or 86. Have you been there before?
Where
It's
is
like
it?
downtown. What is that?
Oh, in the arts district.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah. I have been.
So we went there. That was a
But it's
pretty,
that's a crowd during the weekend, especially.
yeah, no,
like
for
it's
sure. It
it's
gets
buzzing.
very packed. We went on a weekday though, so it wasn't too busy. It was like halfway busy, you know what I mean? Like a good amount of people, but still was like room to walk around. Um, and then randomly, we ended up getting very close. It was almost like I ain't trying to sound like a hopeless romantic, but it was sound when something was a little bit, I ain't gonna say too good to be true. It's just she has her way of doing things, I have my way of doing things, and it's not that we have different ways. It's just that she likes stuff her way, I like stuff my way. And when either one doesn't want to give up leeway and they want it their way, people end up to go separate ways.
But you are an aspiring writer and director, so you are saying on that particular date in the arcade bar, there was that moment that felt almost scripted. It was well written. It was, like you
Yeah.
said, too good to be true.
Yeah, because it was just the chemistry was very there. Always had a good time.
Thank you so much.
Always can joke around. I can. My sense of humor isn't for everybody, but she was able to. She was a flamethrower.
Oh, yeah.
My comedy isn't for anybody, you know. I mean, not for everybody. Um, what would you say? Like someone who's sensitive, my humor is not for them. You know what I mean?
Okay.
My humor can be dark sometimes, but she never had a problem with that. You know, so it was just kind of good times always, easy going until we got later down the line, and then later down the line it was more so just like, hey, she was like, I want stuff my way, and I was like, hey, look, I want stuff my way. So what we gonna do? So
You know, I mean, it happens like that
Mhm.
sometimes. You know, there's a connection. There is, you know, something perhaps even more than that, but sometimes it doesn't work out. Maybe it's not meant to be. Maybe it is meant to be, but down the line, who knows? You know, people change
if it's
for the better
later
and for
down
the
the
worse.
line,
So,
with me, I'm very like if somebody ever doubles back, I call it double backing. Somebody ever doubles back, it's usually, hey, how's it going, RC? It's usually it has to be according to my rules at that point. You know what I
okay.
Yeah, I need a break.
mean?
How was it?
How you
Great, dude, really good. And I put it. I parked it behind the other bike on that street. That's fine,
And
right?
it's like I want to say she was like
I parked it there. It's good, right?
sh- what's the word? Sh- the best way to describe it would be like she wanted to be, if we was in the house together, right? And you know how you have a family, right? She kind of was pushing along the line of she wants to be that mom where that mom that kind of like runs the household. You know what I mean? Like she wants to have a lot of say so and all that. And I come from a very like me growing up. It's what dad has to say. That's what dad got to say. You know what I mean? I didn't really grow up with, well, mom said that. Well, dad said this. Oh, I'm gonna go with what mom said. I didn't come from that. That's where she came from.
That's where I came from as well, because you know my dad passed away when I was really young, so I was raised in a household where my mom was the only person I could depend on, and that obviously has a bearing on you. It leaves a certain mark on you, and you know, like you said, there are certain ways of doing things. It may or may not reconcile, but for me, that was definitive. That was formative. So I can certainly understand, you know, where she is perhaps coming from. You know,
Oh, yeah,
where
no.
you have a household where the mother is a strong figure.
Mhm.
It's different. It's not necessarily better or worse, but it's very different.
And I didn't have a problem with it as long as she, not that I not had a problem with it. It was just more so she can. We, it has to be coordination, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like, let's say she has all the say so on all the interior design and maybe what we eat and maybe how to approach the kids such a certain way,
Things got pretty serious. I mean, if you were talking about kids and how to run a household already,
It's not that we was talking about kids, but we weren't against the idea.
Listen, don't listen to her.
Oh no, I'm single. I'm single now. I'm not. I'm not. No, no, no relationship for me right now. I'm single like a Pringle.
Ladies, you have heard it here. Kimani is very much single, and we just dropped the link to his Instagram. So
I mean, do with the Instagram link as you will. I'm kind of
slide
in my
into his
focus
DMs.
era right now. I haven't been dating as much as I used to. I've been trying to get the production and the sides going. RC, are you don't got no girlfriend, right? You're not married. No.
I have a bit of a situation with someone who lives in San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
So they're far.
The distance give you enough room to.
What's weird is
both.
it's like by far like the best, the most like the best fit personality wise at least. She's not really my type though. But she's very like sane and very like
That's hard to
with her
find.
own life and like not needy. Like I get a lot of needy people.
Oh, yeah, that's hard to find. Definitely saying. Not saying a lot of women are
This
crazy.
chick's always doing her thing.
You know.
And like sometimes I'm like worried that I'm not like present enough. She's like, listen, it's all.
Hey, I love women. I just don't think half of them are. I ain't gonna say fully rap. They just half of them just have a lot going on. Let's just say that.
It is a delicate balance, though, right? Because we do, if you want a partner in life, you do want her to have her independence. You do want her to be strong, strong-willed, even.
Oh, for sure.
But there needs to be some sort of compromise, some sort of reconciliation, some sort of middle ground you reach in that relationship. No?
For sure. And also the thinking process. I feel like a partner should definitely have, if not the same thinking process, or at least something similar, And what I mean by that is just like how you guys, address problems and how you guys find your solutions, That's definitely a big thing. And then also that when you're together with somebody, I feel like that needs to be more of a team. And just like, let's say if I got a girlfriend, wife, or whatever, let's say for whatever reason, I'm arguing with a store clerk or I'm such and such. It shouldn't, before you even take the side of somebody else, it should be either my side or neutral. And if the neutral side is, when you're neutral, you should be trying to calm me down and assess the situation and then provide another assessment versus agreeing with whoever you're arguing with or whatever. You know what I mean?
No, I know this really well, actually. Yeah.
I feel like that's a big thing to definitely work on. I feel like everybody needs to work on that though, because sometimes it's not always sometimes it's not always thought about, and sometimes when some people also just don't like conflict as well.
Yeah. But you're right to say that you are part of the same team. So whether you particularly like the situation or not, or maybe in another setting you might even agree with the other side, so to speak, you do have to stand together, at least in that moment. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about team sports, that if you train that way, you realize, whether I like this person or not, whether I agree with them 100%, here in this moment, for this game, for this race, for this quarter, we are together. We are supposed to be a unit. There's no room for, but in an ideal world, you kind of have to find very quickly a middle ground where you can collaborate and win together.
Yeah, facts.
And that's of course too much of a metaphor, perhaps, for a relationship. Human relationships don't necessarily work on that ground, but it is a model. It is a model that we can learn from, for sure.
And I feel like definitely with because you want every situation to be a win-win, though it's not always going to be a win-win. Sometimes it's a give and pull. Sometimes when you're working with your partner, sometimes they might need to win for that week being in this field, and what I mean by win is they might need more attention during that, like more attention during that week versus the next week where you need more attention. You know, sometimes it's like having those trade-offs and also being able to. And I feel like at least what I see from outside looking in sometimes from like different like couples I know, like my friends or whatever, I feel like a lot of people get too hung up on what happened yesterday, day before, last week,
Mhm.
versus being appreciative of the now and what's to come, you know?
Well, I mean, I'm not in a relationship now, but I know, one of the best advice that was always given to me, and that works when you have the right partner with it, is to have that ability to reset, right? And the older people usually tell you, the older generations usually tell you in this specific way, when you're married to someone, or when you're in a relationship where you live together, you are never supposed to go to sleep being mad at each other, right? When a couple goes to bed together, you need to be able to cleanse your mind and say, hey, whatever happened today happened, for better or worse. Tomorrow is another day. I still love you. We are going to tackle the next day together again. And I think that's really important. It's a simple advice, but it is difficult to implement sometimes when you're in the thick of it. But yeah, the ability to go to sleep together without being mad at each other, having resolved, the minor conflicts and bickering you might have between each other, and reset that next day. That's one of the best things you can do in any relationship. I mean, to
For sure.
find that kind of partner who has that ability to reset, like you said, forget about what happened yesterday. Let's do something different. Let's work together tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And on another note, I want to bring up some fashion. So I don't know if you see the jacket I have on here.
It's a beautiful kaftan, man. I love it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm
Where'd you
thinking-
get that? Who did that?
I'm not even sure who made it. I got it from a market, like an event market where they just have a whole bunch of different clothes, but it says Silver Stream.
Okay.
Whoever Silver Stream is, they did a great job with this jacket.
They did. And
And-
you wear it well.
Hmm?
You wear it well.
Oh, thank you. And then what I plan on doing, I'm gonna do some add-ons to it. I'm thinking about doing a different inside lining, but
Mhm.
also just putting some dojo engraves on it for the dojo that I do train at.
And
And
what do you train at that dojo?
Wing Chun, Bak Fu Pa, and Jiu Jitsu. And it's fun. Jiu Jitsu can be definitely addicting for anybody who's out there that likes like combat sports. Kung Fu is definitely it's a great discipline. It's great working on like focus and all that. But Jiu Jitsu is something it can get addictive. It can
It's
be very fun.
Brazilian that you
Brazilian
practice,
Jiu-Jitsu.
BJJ?
Mhm. It can be very addicting. It's like super fun. Especially when you get into that sparring part of the
Yeah.
practice and drill. And it also helps you learn more about yourself. And then you get to try out new things. It's always been a great time doing BJJ.
No, I mean, I do boxing myself, although I haven't seen the inside of a boxing gym for a year now. But what you said about sparring certainly holds true about boxing as well, because
Yeah, for sure.
it's moving around, as we say sometimes, with another person, teaches you something very fundamental about yourself. Because at the end of the day, even though it's light sparring or whatever, there's someone across you who wants to beat you, and quite literally, right? Who wants to best you, who wants to, in boxing, take your head off, right? And there's something very primal about that, and there's something that it brings out in you, that I think more people need in their lives. Of course, always you abide by mutual respect first and foremost.
For sure.
Always safety protocols need to be set in place. No one should be exposed to something that they can't take. That's for sure. But I think just about everyone needs some sort of martial arts or combat sports
For sure.
training in their life, and that's why I like actually about these more popular boxing gyms that brought some sort of mainstream understanding and even popularity to the sport, because I think it's something very very helpful to bring into the life of an average person.
No, for sure. Especially with, because I used to do boxing as well in Long Beach. My best friend, he was a professional boxer. He quit after his fourth pro fight. He had even though he won all his fights, he was having issues. So came out the ring, and this is after winning. So I guess he kind of thought to himself, like, if this is what happens whenever I win a fight, what's going to happen if I lose a fight?
Right.
So whenever he got out the ring, he did not know where he was at until the next day in the afternoon. So
I'm not surprised. I mean, I competed on the amateur level. I know, after a fight, which is, just 3 rounds, you have headgear and whatever that means. I mean, on another day, we can get into the details of that. But I know that it's like an out-of-body experience, right? Even if you are able to stay in the moment during the fight, after the fight, that the rest of that day is practically lost to you. Like, you feel like the whole energy is, the whole physical and mental energy is depleted.
Yeah, it's definitely a fog. It usually takes, it does take a minute for that fog to clear up sometimes. Whenever you have whenever it's like a good boxing match, whenever you really put to the test,
And of course, like, at the professional level, I'm sure your friend experienced that too. There's a whole business side to it that maybe even overtakes the sport, and maybe that wasn't necessarily for him. Maybe that wasn't working for him. That's the thing, because when you have a coach, when you have a manager, when you have a promoter, people say this casually, but they take care of you, right? That managers and coaches would say, like, I take care of Kimani, right? You're my fighter, and that means something. So if you're not surrounded, I mean, I'm not implying, I don't know your friend, I don't know his situation, but a lot of times that's why people don't want to go forward with their careers, even if they have the athletic promise, right? Because they feel like they're not supported well enough. Maybe their coach is on their side, maybe their manager is on their side, but they don't have the right promoter or whatever. It's that's a very difficult and a heartbreaking proposition. I mean, look at this kid. He just said 4 out of 4, but still didn't want to go forward with his career.
He's still training. He still trains people at boxing gyms in Long Beach. I was in one of his class last week, actually. I want to say Tuesday. I went to drive by his class, got some work in, got some good combos in. He's very technical. He's like a flyweight, so he was in the 150 pound or 145 pound division. So he's very quick, very nimble. Very. It's like watching him box too. It's like a work of art.
It's like poetry in motion.
Exactly.
Of course, I have nothing against the average person, casuals, as sometimes they're called, who are obviously more attracted by the big man. Everyone loves a heavyweight championship night, right? That's fine. But like you said, if you know a little bit about the sport, if you appreciate these nuances, that below welterweight, below 147, that's where the real fights are, because there's volume, there's a lot of movement, there's a lot of tricks, a lot of different techniques, a lot of different kinds of movement that you see that the big man don't have by definition, because of their physique,
just the size
and
mass, and just it's hard to be that fast when you're that big,
Yeah.
but I love small weight boxing. It's so poetic and it's so snappy as well as like flowy at the same time. You know that and like watching Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, good technicians like roll. That's super like that's art form too as well. This is one guy I can't think of his name, but he does when rolling in jujitsu, right? He really like rolls around. It looks like he's breakdancing. The way just the way he's doing, like it looks like he's breakdancing. It's just so, and that's what I'm working on right now. Every time I go to the dojo, is getting better at my sprawling. Like now, like I can say I did like a samurai roll 3 times successfully. So I'm getting very good at my samurai rolls, where where basically you get one of their legs, you roll to the outside, and then during the motion of rolling them, you ended up being able to get towards their back. Um, that's been a move that I've been able to add to my bag. I like that move lately, and then I'm trying to work on my Della Hova roll, where it's like kind of like if you're on your back and you basically just but have your feet. It's hard to explain. I have videos I can always show you, especially next time I see you. It's hard to explain though. It's like if you have the legs on the hips, have the legs on the hips, and then your back is on the ground, but your head is facing their feet and rolling like that. It looks super cool when you're doing it, especially once you get good at it, because you can do it like fast, like back and forth.
Yeah, I need to learn more about jiu-jitsu. Honestly, I've been pretty, dead set on boxing specifically, but I need to expand my horizons.
If you want to, you can always come by the dojo with me. I'll definitely come in.
Thank you.
You can definitely come to the dojo with me. I'll also send you anytime. Anytime we have open mats, I can send you all that information too. The open mats are super fun. It's a lot more people though. Like a usual BJJ class is usually about, I'll say, six to 10, 15 people. Open mat is usually around like 30 people. So you got a lot more rolling going on. But open mat is really just sparring. It's really, practice. The first hour is technical drill, working on a certain new choke and just drilling certain like maneuvers, and then the last hour being sparring.
All right, so we need to be kind on our audience a little bit. When these things get too long, people don't watch it later. So I really appreciate this, Kimani.
Oh, yes, this is
for you
pleasure.
to set aside your time like that, and of course share your insights, share your aspirations, share your experiences with the audience.
For sure.
I really appreciate
I
it.
want to appreciate the audience too for having me, having fun.
And we are going to be here again next Sunday. So hopefully a lot of these great characters like James Chalk, like Ben Maccabee, like Kimani will drop by again. And Alexandre,
you come? You can hopping in. You want to take my seat right now?
whom I've interviewed before, they're all going to be part of it. Alexandre can help me send off the audience. Again, we were at Steel Buffalo Motors.
Hi everyone.
This is our home on Sundays. Steel Buffalo Motors, of course, services bikes. It's a authentic bike shop, in addition to being an art gallery and a great homage to old Hollywood, centering around Steve McQueen. They do anything from e-bikes to Vespas to scooters to Triumph to Harley Davidson, and they specialize in Indian motorcycles. Hopefully, we will get one for Alexandre pretty soon.
Yeah, pretty soon. And what we can add is Steel Buffalo Motors help new riders to take their first motorcycle and give some training lessons before letting them riding on the road. So It's kind
Hey.
of nice.
We were talking about safety earlier, and of course they have all this beautiful apparel that you see in the background, and they have great cigars, a walk-in humidor. We have been smoking their cigars, what I like to call good news. You know, this particular blend that comes wrapped in the newspaper bag. So if you go to the website, you'll find all the contact information for Ben Maccabee, and he can help you with everything related to bikes and also to cigars as well. If you're ever in Southern California, especially on a Sunday,
Drop by.
please drop by. But on any given day, except for Saturdays, you are more than welcome at Steel Buffalo Motors. We're signing off today. Don't forget to hit the like button if you want to support the channel. You know how. All the links are in the description. And I'll see you in the next one.
You take
Thank you.
care. You take care. Thank you, everyone.
Any views?